Welcome to the Emily the Mystic Show. You're about to walk through a portal that leads to all things mystical, magical, spiritual, and supernatural. I'm your host, Emily. I'm a spiritual mentor, an Akashic Records practitioner and teacher, an intuition development coach, and a galactic channeler. If you're an old soul on a self-discovery and healing journey, you are in the right place. We'll be diving in deep to some of my favorite mystical topics, including manifestation, past lives, the spirit world, energy, and so much more. Get ready to embrace your inner mystic and live your most authentic life possible. The portal is now open.
Oh my goodness, my dear listener, I have a treat in store for you today. This episode is going to be full of wisdom about probably maybe the favorite person in your household, or should I say not person, but your favorite animal. So I am here to introduce you to a pet psychic. Yes, you heard correctly, a pet psychic. You are going to get to hear from Tyler Gines, who is the founder of Boujie Animal Chats, the Louis Vuitton of animal communication. With 15 coaching certifications and over 500 hours of transformational training, he helps soulful, high-vibe pet parents deepen their intuitive bond and receive powerful guidance from the animals they adore. Wow. Tyler, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Emily. I'm so excited to be here, especially because it's not very commonly talked about.
It's not. And I have been saying for years, and my listener knows this because I've talked about this for years, that we need more people in the pet and animal space in the spiritual community. So thank you for being a pioneer in such an important industry.
Absolutely. Our fur babies literally are the bread and butter to our home, right? And even to our farms, to whatever it is, like animals just bring this energy to us that it's like, whoa, that's like mind blowing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, we're going to get into all of it today. I also had the pleasure of receiving a reading from Tyler, which was so cool. Like, just blew my mind wide open, was such an activator for me. So we'll share more details about that as we get into it. But as our introduction goes, Tyler, can you share with us where you are located, your astrology, sun, moon, and rising, and your human design type?
Absolutely. So I am located in, I could say sunny Salt Lake City, but it's not always sunny. It's not always sunny in Philadelphia, right? And then I am a Pisces sun, Aries moon, and Cancer rising. So lots of water, very, very mystical water. And then I am a manifesting generator in my human design. And if anybody knows anything about manifesting generators, we love to get started on multiple projects.
Well, you probably don't know this, but I am a Pisces manifesting generator. So, yep, I get you.
Yep, that sounds like this is why we are together.
Yes, 100%. I love it so much. So, I want to first get to know, Tyler, do you have any pets in your life? Do you have any animals in your life that are meaningful to you? And then we're going to dive into your story and get to know how we got here.
Amazing. Yes. So I have 2 Frenchies and then I have a Beagle Lab mix. When my partner and I got together, he brought in the Beagle Lab and then I had the 2 Frenchies. Frenchies are kind of out of this world and that's how I view myself. And then we actually rescued 3 cats in January from an unfortunate situation. And one actually just passed away about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks ago, just because when we got him, he was not in great shape. But the nice thing is he knew what love was when he left, which was powerful. And then I have 2 hermit crabs. So I have a whole zoo at my house.
Wow. So animals are a very big part of your life, in other words.
Oh, absolutely. And it's no accident that I literally talk to animals for a living.
100%. And I've been following your journey for a few years now and seeing you kind of pivot and take on different roles in the spiritual and psychology space, mental health space, so many different things. So I want to know, like, how did we land here?
That is a great question. So I pushed and pushed and pushed to create a coaching business. And I remember telling my fiance, I was like, if I was in alignment, this coaching business would be working. So I continued to push harder and harder and harder and harder into creating something that was not in alignment for me. And we went to Bali in December, and we did a shamanic session with one of my dear friends. And she unlocked this gift that I had no idea was inside of me. But it was actually, I knew it was there, but I just didn't know it. I had actually set up an animal communication session with an animal communicator. I don't know if it was a full blown like pet psychic. She does identify as an animal communicator. And so I had set one up a couple years ago when I was getting ready to assist my two rescue Frenchies over the Rainbow Bridge. And so I think a lot of life is just kind of remembering who we are and bringing back who we are. And so when we were in Bali with this friend, shortly before, I was having a conversation with her, and we were talking about plant medicine and like just the journey that she had and the experience she had. And she asked me, she's like, well, do you want to serve plant medicine? And I said, oh, that's actually kind of a good idea, and didn't really think about it. And then I was like, yeah, actually, I wanted to be a doctor as a kid. I was a CNA after I graduated high school. And so I was like, yeah, that kind of sounds fun. And then we show up in Bali, and she takes us through this shamanic energy session, and it's in the Lumerian stone chamber, which is where you lay on these huge stones that are as big as cars. And I remember laying on on petrified wood. So it's like this thick stone, and I'm laying there, and this I don't even know if I want to call it a rock, but this powerful stone bed, whatever I was laying on, just like engulfed me, and it was this petrified wood, and I just felt all of this like energy just dissolve out of me. And before I started that, I knew my dogs who had crossed were there. One was tragically hit by a car in 2021 when I was on vacation, and she ran off from the dog sitter. And so I didn't know, or I knew she was going to be there. The second one came in, and she's like, I'm here too, don't forget. And I was like, oh, that's so cute. Like, I love that. And then I get through this session on this rock, well, not even all the way through, and I'm looking up, and there's a lizard above me. And I always have seen animals. I just didn't know what they were doing and how they were, but they would always show up in times of need. Right then, it unlocked something within me. I didn't know quite yet what that was. And the next morning after this, I looked up what an animal or lizard medicine was. I normally looked up what a lizard spiritual meaning was, but in this case, I was like, oh, what's the medicine being delivered to me? And lizards are all about infinite renewal and basically infinite timelines of possibility, which makes total sense because they've lost their tails, they grow back, they shed their skin. There is no accident that it was right when I'm laying on this piece of petrified wood, letting 27 lifetimes of grief just melt away. And the next morning, we get ready to go do this incredible water ceremony with Mama Bali. And I had this download, and I was like, animal medicine vortex, what in the world is that? And so I kind of threw it out there, put it on my stories, like, I'm feeling called to open an animal medicine vortex. No idea what it was. I was like, okay, cool. So then we end up doing this water ceremony, and it's a 3-step process. The first one, you ask permission from Mama Bali to be there. The second one, she gives you a gift. And the third one, you touch third eyes to her stone like face and give her gratitude. And she gave me the animal medicine vortex. And then I integrate this. I'm meditating, and there's a cicada or something. I don't know what it was, but it was just making that humming sound as I'm sitting in there meditating and integrating it. And then as soon as I'm done, it stops. So it literally was like sending all of this energy to me. And I was like, okay, that is wild. So then we get out of it because it starts pouring rain. And I asked my friend, I'm like, did this come with animal communication? Because I'm starting to hear a lot of chatter in my mind. And I know for a fact this is not mine. I literally felt like I was coming out of the closet all over again. I felt absolutely crazy because I'm like, I'm hearing these voices in my head. And I was like, okay. She's like, yep, it sure did. And so I was like, okay, cool. And then a few days later, we went glamping in Bali. And we're on our way back to our campsite. And I remember this is after biking. I look to the left and there's a cow. And she looks up at me and she goes, hi, I'm Molly. I'm just eating this grass. What are you doing? I was like, what in the hell is happening? Literally, I was like, okay, this is crazy. I'm like, that cow literally just talked to me. And I was like, okay. And I was like, oh, I'm good, just, hanging out. And then here comes a group of horses, of people horseback riding. And I'm like, before I tune in, before I hear anything, I see this horse in the front. And I'm like, oh, he's got some cocky jock energy going on. The way his hair was, the way he gave me a picture. And I was like, okay, this is wild. He tunes in. He's like, I'm better than all of these horses and I'm the leader and they all have to bow down to me. I was like, okay, right then and there, I knew I was not wrong. He literally gave me, and I was like, okay, this is wild. So then I get home from Bali and I'm like kind of resisting the F out of this because I'm like, this isn't me. I don't want to do this. I'll do the animal medicine stuff. It's like energy work and blah, blah, blah. And then my friend from Bali is like, dude, you have to go do 3 communication sessions. I was like, I don't want to. She's like, that's how you're going to fully embody it. And so I was like, okay, fine. So I put it out there. So I'm like exposing myself because you're coming out of the closet all over again, Tyler. Like, congratulations to you. And so I put it on social media and I have all of these people are like, oh my gosh, yeah. I was like, I want to do it. I want to do it. I was like, okay. So I ended up doing one session and we weren't on Zoom. So right then and there, I was like, okay, I don't like how I did that session. So let's obviously upgrade it and make it better. So I did like this 30-minute session and then I sent her this recording and I didn't hear anything for a couple days. And I was like, oh no, this isn't good. Like I didn't do it right. Nothing landed. All of these things like that inner voice was just so loud. And then we go to a mastermind in Dallas. And my intention for the weekend was to move beyond the fear of being myself and being unapologetically me. Literally before the end of the weekend, she sends me a message and she's like, that was so cool. And all of these things like giving me like acceptance. And I was like, oh, that was the permission I needed. So then I created this link and sent it to every single person that had said, I want to do it. I was only going to do 3. I ended up doing 12. And right then and there, I was like, oh my God, I love this. This is so fun. I'm not going into people's like trauma, which I'm trained to do, but I'm like, I like the animal aspect of this way better. And so I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to just do this. And then all of a sudden I had the 12 and then people started to refer me out. All of a sudden I had people booking and I was like, I'm charging for this. This is my energy. I'm charging for this. This is my gift. And I was like, that was a huge thing for me as well. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I've got all of these ideas starting to pop like candy. And it led me here. But what then I realized after is I went through and I looked at all of these little breadcrumbs throughout my life. And I realized my entire life has been leading me up until this point. I just had to move beyond the fear of being myself and unapologetically me. Like,
whoa.
When I was a kid, like we had a fish tank. I loved going to PetSmart. PetSmart was my favorite place. The fish tanks were the coolest to me, all the fish. And then we moved and I didn't have a fish tank anymore. And then my aunt, like around when I was 5 or 6, she gave me a fish tank. Now, one of the poor fish I thought it was going to be a dog and I needed to pull it out of the water, and I drop it on the floor, put it back in the water. He lived a while. He was a white goldfish and he was big. And so this fish tank, and then all of a sudden I got a hermit crab, and I loved hermit crabs and still loved the pet store. And then when I was in kindergarten, when we hatched the chickens in the incubator, I was like, oh, I want to do this. So I got a refrigerator egg out of the refrigerator and put it on a cotton candy machine to incubate it. Newsflash, that shit doesn't work. So instead, I collected ants to be my chickens, and I would feed them crunch bars, like the chocolate crunch bars. And I had them in a box, like you would with chickens, and a light hanging out over it. And I was like, okay. And then obviously in first grade, you have the classroom pets. We had a betta fish. I remember my friend in first grade, she got a betta for Christmas and brought it in one day. I was like, that's so cool. So then, of course, I naturally had to go and get one. And so now looking back, I'm like, oh, I see how all of this was kind of divinely guided. And the last time I had seen my mom in person, when I was 12, I spent the summer really depressed. And I was like, okay, let's go to my favorite store. We went to this store called the Aquarium. It was mostly fish. They had saltwater, freshwater, and then they had some reptiles. And my dad, after 4 days, was like, are we done with this store yet? I was like, no, I love this store. Like, it was just my happy place because they deliver all of their medicine, like the fun, the playful, the brightness, the vibrancy. And so we spent a lot of time there. And I was a huge fish nerd. I loved fish. Like, it was so Pisces energy. Am I right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
And then, like, even my cousins and I, they had this really cool bathroom where they had 2 windows. Our creativity was out of this world. We used to play pet store. We'd put this stuffed jellyfish in a tank and people could buy it. They had the fish tank as well. So animals have always been a huge part of my life. It all makes sense as to why, because now I talk to them, and it all started when I had to help one of mine cross the bridge, and I heard I'm ready, but I didn't trust myself. I didn't know I could talk to her. And so I hired a communicator, and I was like, oh, that was really cool. And of course, like, why would if I didn't know that that was inside of me, I wouldn't have actually hired a communicator, which is so powerful. And I just didn't know it at that point. And here I am. I'm like, oh, and that was literally 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And I'm like, oh, this is a gift that I have.
This is amazing. What a miracle. What a journey. Oh my God. Fills me with so much joy and is like such a powerful mirror for two, because there's so many things that you just said that like unlocked pieces of my own childhood that I had forgotten about. And for the listener to know, just to share with you what came through during my session with Tyler. So just backing up for a minute here, I booked a session with Tyler because my cat, my childhood cat, had crossed the Rainbow Bridge about a month ago. And at the same time, like by miraculous circumstance, you popped into my inbox. I can't remember the reason why, but we like somehow reconnected again. And then I saw that you were doing the animal communication. And I was like, oh my God, that's wild, because I just had this experience with my cat passing away. And like, I need this in my life. So I booked the session with you for that purpose and finally got the chance to do it. And I was just blown away because Tyler was able to bring through my cat's personality to a T, and all of these messages with things from my childhood, most specifically that it's time for me to get a fish tank because having fish brings me so much joy from my own childhood. So what you were just saying about having the hermit crabs and like the childhood animals, like I can resonate with so deeply. So I just love all of this. And it's so cool to get to hear these personalities through you being the translator for them, to be the voice for them. It is just, it's unlike anything else. And it does bring you so much joy.
I will say my inner child literally loves this because it's easy for me. I don't struggle with it. I literally get to, yes, give those a voice that most people are actually afraid to hear. And it brings so much joy. Like, think about being that kid and you getting hermit crabs or getting that dog or that cat or whatever that first pet was, like that instant connection that you felt. I get to experience that every single day of my life. And I create so many friends. And I don't even know how to explain it other than the fact that when you're in alignment, it's easy.
It's so true. It's so true. And it's so funny because I feel like all of the things are there. Like they're in your storybook of your life. And sometimes maybe we're not willing to see it, we're not able to see it yet, but I feel like we always get divinely guided where we need to go, and then it all starts to come together when it needs to.
Yep, absolutely. And that's where it's so fascinating to look back at all of my life. I'm like, how did the signs were definitely there? Hello. Like, I remember I wanted hermit crabs again after I think I may have accidentally thrown one alive. It just was molting away. I was like, oh, oops.
No.
Now I know, obviously, like something different. But I told my dad, I was like, I want hermit crabs. And he's like, no. I'm like, fine. So I went out into the backyard and collected snails.
Oh my
And he's
God.
like, okay, we're going to go get you hermit crabs. I was like, I freaking knew it. I knew this would work. I'm like, you don't want me to have hermit crabs? Then I'm going to bring snails in the house. And sure enough, I ended up with 2 more hermit crabs after that.
Wow. Wow, that's special.
You make do with things that you have. Like, I used my resources wisely. I was like, fine, then I'm just going to create my own hermit crabs.
Yes, I had a hermit crab named Sparkles, of course, who never made it through, sad, RIP, never made it through the molting process into her new shell.
Oops.
So well.
Oh, well.
Yes. Oh, well. And okay, so I have a question for you about this. What is the difference between being an animal communicator and being a pet psychic?
That is a great question. And I've often wondered that same thing because I'm like, how is this different? So I am actually also currently going through a course to be attuned to shamanic energy and really developing and building those psychic gifts. An animal communicator usually uses telepathy. So it is an exchange of information. Now, as a pet psychic, you're pulling an energy from all of your clairs, where, yes, as a pet animal communicator, yes, you can get pictures. Yes, you can get a knowing. But when you are in that psychic era, you're getting this energy exchange. So when a dog is anxious and I'm doing a session, it kicks my anxiety up through the roof and I can't stop moving. So I'm all over the place. I did a session yesterday, actually, and this dog is psychotic. Also really cute. He heard wedding bells for his mom, who's not even engaged yet. And he's like, I want to be involved. But his energy, I had to ground him because I was sitting here and I was moving so much. I was like, this is not my energy. What is happening? So I do believe that as a pet psychic, you are literally one with the animal. You're, you're like, if the animal's like super energetic, you're filling the flow of energy. And I do connect with their higher self and my higher self to pull the information down. I've been able to help animals like stop peeing outside of the litter box because it's like, all right, give me everything that you have and why you're avoiding this. And it works. So I do believe that it's playing in the ethers basically. And when it's as a pet psychic, but then as an animal communicator, it's very much just, it feels almost surface level and generic.
Yes. And you're also able to communicate with pets who have crossed over and pets who are still alive, correct?
Correct. Yep. And I remember when I did a session with a dog. So for anybody that's listening who has lost a pet, I am here to tell you how this pup shared with me what the Rainbow Bridge looked like. It's like a full-blown city, and it is so cool. It's like there's fields with all these white flowers where animals are just chasing one another. There's these buildings and stores and every toy that's possibly imaginable. Like, it has everything. And then he said the way we pay is in kibble.
No way.
And they can have jobs if they want. If they don't want to, great. He had a roommate in his house, and he literally showed me this living room, and it's literally how we live our lives as humans. That's what it's like. The only thing that they don't have is cars, and they're all very safe.
And this is dogs and cats and all animals are in this plane together?
Yep.
Wow.
Any animal that has crossed the Rainbow Bridge, this is how they see it. This is how Dublin described it to me. And I was like, Dublin, this is so cool. And it really helped his mom cope with the grief because she's like, oh, and they're all in a perfect health. Nothing is wrong with them. They're energetic. It's like they go back to their prime energy, like when they felt their most very best. And I was like, this is the coolest freaking city. And they have doggy safe everything. There's doggy safe chocolate. There's doggy safe, or not even doggy safe, but animal safe chocolate and orange chicken. Like, he eats orange chicken frequently. And his mom goes, I used to eat orange chicken a lot with him around.
That's so cute. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So I want to know more about the journey of the pet soul, because this was a question that I asked Tyler during my reading, which was that I'm just curious, like, Tyler, do you have a perspective on whether animals can come back, reincarnate as human souls, or can human souls reincarnate as animal souls? Can pet souls come back into this lifetime and be with us again? And you answered that question in spades. So what can you share with us today here on the episode?
Absolutely. So I do believe that animals can absolutely come back. It is how they choose to come back. If they want to come back as humans, they absolutely can come back as humans. If they want to come back as an animal again, abso-freaking-lutely will they come back as an animal. Now, it's interesting also because I've done sessions with dogs that in this lifetime alone, it's literally someone else's, it's been their mom or their dad or their grandpa. This session I did with this Saint Bernard, they asked me, well, have they had any past lives together or any lives together? And at first the dog was resistant, and there's a reason why. It was resistant because of how insanely connected it was. Like, the dog resisted and the dog resisted and the dog resisted. And they asked one question. She's like, fine, I'll say it. It was her mom in this lifetime alone. Like, her mom had passed away when she was 13. Her dog was 9. And her dog said, my journey right now is to pour into all of this wisdom and emotionally support you because I didn't get to do that for you in this lifetime. So she came back. The mom came back as the dog in this specific lifetime. And there was a reason, because after the session, it stirred up a lot of emotions. Whoa. And so she was able to like release what she needed to release around it. But that's why the dog was super resistant to it at first. So in this lifetime, odds are your pet may be back as a grandpa, a grandma, a sister, an aunt, like anybody that you may have lost. Your pet may be it.
Oh my God. That's so fascinating. Yes. And I asked Tyler during my reading, I was asking him information about a childhood pet that I had lost. And I was like, I kind of want to I want to know about Lily, my childhood cat. And, I just kind of gave some blanket reasons why. And Tyler was like, yeah, Lily's coming back. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that was the question behind the question that I was trying to ask was, will Lily come back in this lifetime? And he was like, yes, she's coming back.
And she's on her way.
Mm-hmm.
And like that whole mix that you and I talked about, I'm like, Maine Coon, but like a Persian cat. And you're like, oh, interesting. And then you tell me Lily was a mix. I was like, oh, that makes sense. She's coming back as a mix.
Unbelievable.
And as a boy.
That's right. So, yeah. So the soul can switch genders. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep. So Lily was like, oh, I'm getting ready to come back. I'm just being trained. And I want to come back as a boy this round because there's energy that I need to learn in the masculine energy. And so she's coming back as a boy. So it will be a he, and he is going to be a mixed cat. Get ready, Emily.
Amazing. Just amazing. Oh, wow. So what would you say is like one of the biggest things that our pets want us to hear or know? What's one of the biggest things that you communicate to a client during a session?
That's a great question. So the 3 most common requests that I get during animal communication sessions is it's not toys and it's not treats. What it actually is number 1, for the owner to ground their energy. Owners are so chaotic and our animals feel the energy. They literally are like, you've got to chill out. Like, please ground yourself because it's causing me to be a stress case. So number 1, ground your energy. Your animal definitely does not want to carry all of it for you. Number 2, the food, because they know what makes their stomach hurt and they have communicated it with me. If they have allergies to chicken or turkey or certain like animals and you keep feeding it, they're like, okay, we know what's good for us. So I'm like, okay, here's what your animal needs. I had a dog that I did a session with and she had diarrhea all the time. She was anxious all of the time and she'd throw up after eating. I said, oh, here's your problem. Literally, I gave them a recommendation of food that I use for my dogs. They switched it, plus gave her a probiotic. Anxiety's gone. No more throwing up and no more diarrhea. Now, I'm not a vet, so I can't give vet advice. However, I can help you along the way to uncover certain things. I have another friend who he's the runt. He's the cutest thing. And in his session, he requested a couple things. Number 1 was, of course, his food. They switched his food. His allergies are almost gone. They're weaning him off of his allergy medication, and it's actually helping a lot for him. And then he also requested his own little garden to ground himself because he processes a lot. I was like, okay. And then number 3, the most common request is they just want one-on-one time with their favorite person. No chaos, nobody else, just them, because they're a lot like, let's be connected and let's have that one-on-one time. So if you have more than one animal, it's good to have that one-on-one time to continue to deepen that bond. And so that has been their most common requests. And it's always so fascinating.
That is so fascinating. That is not what I thought you were going to say. So, wow, I love all of that. Amazing.
Yeah. And they obviously have other things that they request, like their favorite treats. Blueberries is a common one. Some ask a lot for bacon. And the funny thing is when they know that they're on a diet without knowing they're on a diet, they're like, so why am I getting less food? I'm like, all right, let's talk about this. I'm like, did you just recently put your animal on a diet? And parents like, yeah, the vet said they were getting a little too heavy. I'm like, well, they have something to say about that. They're not happy.
Do you see a big, wide variety in different kinds of personalities with all of the different pets you've connected with?
Abso-freaking-lutely. I've had some, I did a session with this cat. His name's Mickey. He's older. And he's like, it is really inconvenient for me to have to walk from one side of the house to the other to do absolutely nothing. And I was like, oh, he's like, I'm in my retirement era. I was like, oh, this is fascinating. So you have that type of a personality. Then I did a session with a dog yesterday, the one with the wedding bells and the wedding. Showed me a picture of how the wedding's supposed to be. Total chaotic energy. And I literally was so all over the place during the session because I was so tuned in. Then I've had the sassy ones where the sassy ones are like, why are you doing that to me? And so the personalities are so, yes. If you think your animal has a personality, you're absolutely correct because they will show it when they are willing and open to share it. I've had sassy, I've had rebellious teenagers come in. I've had the old retirement guy who's like, oh, this is so inconvenient. So their personalities, and I love when they're willing to share it. I have stories about it. I did a session with a Bengal cat who was peeing outside of his litter box. And his mom's like, hey, I don't understand what's going on. I said, well, first of all, he's scared of your husband because of the masculine energy. Number two, you're using a litter that has a scent and it's clay. He doesn't like that. Bengals are very, very sensitive. They're a hypoallergenic cat and they are very high maintenance. They're like the French bulldogs, but of cats. And so I followed up a couple weeks later. I said, hey, how's your fur babies doing? She goes, he's not peeing in the house anymore. I was like, oh, imagine that. He didn't like the litter you were using, which I kind of figured before he opened up, but he was very like demanding. My own dog, my own Frenchie, his name's Leo. He doesn't really look out my window very often in my office. And there was one day it was raining and he comes charging into my office and jumps on his hind legs. And he's like, I want to look out the window. I said, okay, buddy. I put the meditation pillow down. He said, nope, I don't like this. He's like, I want a chair. So I went downstairs. As he sat at the top of the stairs, I grabbed a dining room chair. And as soon as he saw the chair, he darted back into my office, sat down by the window so I could put it in. And then he's like, now put my bed on it. I said, okay. He laid there for 2 hours enjoying the view. And that's the example of a demanding pet. And so they really do have these personalities that shine through. And that's what's so beautiful is I get to help you see what your personality of your animal is.
I love that so much. Do you talk to your own pets frequently throughout the day? Like, what does that look like?
Great question. So one of the dogs is open to me all the time. And I'll be getting ready. I'll be like in the closet, like putting clothes on, and he'll come in and he'll be like, hey, I'm like, hey, buddy, what's up? And he'll start to talk to me. His favorite story to tell, he's like, do you remember that time that the Uber driver slammed my tail in the door? I was like, yeah, I do remember that, buddy. I'm so sorry that happened. He's like, yeah, that wasn't very fun. That hurt a lot. And then he goes into, but he's like got this trauma around it. And he's like, yeah. So his favorite story is to tell me about that. And then I'm like, no wonder you whine so much in the car. I got it. And then he's like, yeah, the way to solve that is give me more treats, but then also I need a seatbelt. We tried putting treats in the car and that helped cut the whining down so much. Now we just have to get the seatbelt for him. Leo, he's more of a reflector, which is hilarious because he is a reflector in human design.
For real. Wow.
Yeah. So he doesn't have much to say. He's like, everyone else has plenty to say. I just observe and I reflect back. So he's very closed off to communicating with me. And then my other Frenchie, Daisy, which actually her name came from my other two that are on the other side. It was their favorite flower that I discovered through my communication session I did. Their favorite flower was Daisy. And well, like her name is perfect. She will not talk to me. She will not talk to me. Now, this isn't my fiance's favorite gift but his gift. He'll talk to her and he knows he can hear her. So yesterday he had a conversation with her because she doesn't want to talk to me. She'll talk to him when he's willing. And she said, so was it your wedding that you guys were talking about? And he goes, no, that's not. No. She's like, well, I want to match Leo. I want to wear a tuxedo. And she's like, or my fiance goes, he's black and white. He's not wearing a tuxedo. And she's like, well, I want to be involved in the wedding too. And then him and I were talking. He wasn't at home. I was on my way home from Arizona after helping with a retreat. And I was talking about Arizona because I have this huge fascination. We were talking about snakes. And she literally jumped in and she goes, I want to see a snake. How did she hear this conversation? Because odds are we weren't talking about a snake. And it was, or we were, but she wasn't involved in the conversation.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is exactly why I said we have to be careful with her because she would be the one to smell a rattlesnake and get bit by the thing.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
if she wants to see a rat or if she wants to see a snake. So she's having this conversation with my fiance and he's like, this is exactly what he's worried about. It was so crazy. It was absolutely crazy.
That is so wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like,
Is there an animal in the room with you right now? I just heard something.
yeah, I have both Frenchies and they snore.
Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with all of this. So my next question for you is, because I think you answered it, but I also am curious your thoughts on this. Do some animals have resistance to talking to you? And if yes, why? Why does that come up?
Great question. So, I mean, obviously, my dog is very much resistant to talking to me. So, I always go through a process to ask permission to talk to them on an energetic level. I don't like my energy space invaded. Why would I want to invade theirs? And
Yeah.
so I do that process. Now, my animals, because we're constantly in the energy together, it's like, okay, they're open to it. I don't have to set myself. Now, I've tried if I'm not in the right space to talk to animals. And when I talk to the animals, they don't share anything if I'm not in the right energy space, if I haven't grounded, if I haven't connected, if I have not said a protection prayer, and if I have not called in my own guides and my own protections. So in those moments, it's it yeah, they're resistant because number one, they want to honor my space. But number two, if they're stubborn, aka the cat that was a Bengal, he didn't want to talk to me at first. He was super resistant to talking to me. And then he all of a sudden opened up and I was like, hey, buddy, we need to talk. This is important for your mom. This is important. This is important.
Mm-hmm.
This is important. He finally cracked. So I think a lot of it is they're resistant because they're trying to build that trust factor. They're like humans. If we have to build the know, like, and trust factor. And so animals are very much that same way. And if they don't know me or trust me right away, why would they be open to it? So they are resistant up until a point, and then they're like, okay, fine, I'll talk. Now, if I'm doing a session with multiple animals, which I don't recommend doing more than 2 at a time, because if there's 3 of them, one always steals the show. There's always a star of the show, right? And so one does not open very much. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, you've talked to the other 2. Great. So they'll kind of ho-hum around it like, yeah, but not yet. I'm not ready to open up. I'm not ready to open up. And then they're like, bleh. They word vomit all of it. I'm like, okay, you guys are psychotic. Like, got it.
Because you would think that since they can't talk to us, but they're probably speaking to us telepathically, we're just not aware of it. You would think that they would feel like they're desperate to talk to someone, to talk to anyone, so that they find you and you're making the connection and you're like, I can hear you. Like, what do you want to say? You would think that they would like have so much, that would need to come out.
Yeah. So for me, like sometimes when I first connect, I typically start the session off and I'm like, hey, give me about 30 minutes. Your animal has a lot to say. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, let's open up. Sometimes I have to say, here's all these questions. Like they want all of this for you. And then if they're not willing to crack, I'm like, hey, let's start with you asking a question, because it opens up all of these different portals. Our animals are so weird. They have so much to say, but sometimes they have no idea where to start. So I'll be like, okay, let's have you ask this question.
Wow. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Have you done or have you connected with any exotic animals? Anything that surprised you?
I love that question. So, I mean, besides the cow in Bali.
Yeah. I mean, that is wild.
That was so crazy. I have not talked to any like exotic where I've been out. Now, my next excitement that I'm going to go do this is for my inner child as well. I'm going to go to the zoo and I'm going to talk to the
what
animals.
A great idea. Oh, yeah. Tyler, I want to go do that
too. Because then I can basically interview the animal. So
yeah.
I can have somebody with me and it's like, okay, what questions do you have that you want to ask the animal? And then I can translate it. Now, everywhere that I go, I'm also going to do this. So I'm going to Australia soon and I'm going to go. This is a very big requirement for me. I'm going to go to a koala sanctuary and you bet I'm going to go talk to those koalas. So not yet, but soon I will be talking to exotic animals and a koala bear will be it.
I just love the story of you saying that you see these spirit animals during your journey at important moments. And the fact that they've already been giving you messages and now you're aware of it is just like amazing.
It's so fun because I've always seen, it's like, oh, here's a praying mantis. Okay, well, what medicine is it delivering for me? And it's like, oh, return back to your spirituality, return back to your spiritual gifts. Oh, whatever. Throw that out the window. Now look at where I'm at. I talk to animals for a living and it's like, oh, I see what you were talking about. Or like a ladybug. Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I understand that you are all delivering messages. You're all talking to me. And I just now know how to translate it.
Oh my God. Absolutely. Yes. And I have to interrupt this podcast episode to tell you about a product that I am absolutely obsessed with and have been loving so much. And that is Elix Cycle Balance. This incredible women's hormonal health supplement that was created on the foundation of Chinese medicine helps you balance your hormones so that you can feel better every single day of your cycle. For me, this incredible supplement helped me on my journey getting off of hormonal birth control and has helped me feel so good. I have so much energy. I have very limited physical symptoms, especially during my cycle, and I just feel good. So I cannot recommend this stuff to you enough. I am not a huge supplement person. I don't take a ton of supplements. So for me, it's just my daily multivitamin and this and some elderberry that I take for immune support, and that's it. And this has really changed the game for me. If you want to give it a try, go ahead, check out the link in the show notes, and use code 15EmilyL for 15% off. So my next question for you is, because animals see the world differently than we do, how are there different ways that they communicate with you? Like maybe their sensory input is different, and so therefore you receive the messages differently. Like, what have you noticed about that?
Great question. So they do obviously experience the world very differently. They do not see colors the same way we do, and time is of the essence to them. Time to us and time to them is two completely different things. And I mean, time is really an illusion anyways. However, sometimes 2 weeks means 2 years to them, and sometimes 2 years means 2 weeks to them. So it's always fascinating because they don't really know what time is. So they do say, oh, just tell me where you're going and how long you're going to be gone for. That's important for them to know because, well, you're their whole life. They want to make sure you're safe and that you're coming home to them again. So if you give them the specific time frame, like, hey, I'm going to be gone for 6 hours, great. Now, some animals like specifics from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Just depends on that. And then colors. They don't see colors the same way as us. And so they'll give me a color in the middle of a session. I'm like, okay, now most of the time it is correct. I've had one incident where the dog was saying it was pink, but it was really white. but pink is literally everywhere else. So it thought it was pink. And I was like, oh, that's fascinating. So they do definitely like have the idea. It's just not always 100% correct, but this is how they give it to me. And another one is when they're kind of in pain. They're a lot like humans. They don't really know like what's going on. They can kind of describe it. So I did a quick tune into a dog. The mom was worried because all of a sudden he was incontinent and like in massive pain. And I was like, oh, he's giving me like kidney stones and like kidney problems. So they did x-rays. It was not actually that. He has early onset IVDD, which is very common in dogs that have fascinating spines. And that is why it's affecting his kidney. But also there is I think there's something that's brewing. Again, I'm not a vet. I can't give vet advice, but he's like, yeah, this is where my problem is. And so, I mean, your kidney is kind of connected to your spine. So the way that they interpret the world is very much how they feel. My friend has another dog and she goes, hey, like she's limping. What's going on? I'm like, oh, let me tune into her really quick. So I did this morning and I was like, do you have holes in your backyard? Because she kind of stepped in a hole and kind of twisted herself, like her leg. And she's like, yeah, the voles in our backyard are creating holes in our yard. And I'm like, oh, so she just twisted it. So it's really interesting to see how they interpret it. And they can either give it to me as a knowing or like I can hear it. Sometimes I taste it, sometimes I smell it, and then sometimes I see it. It really just depends on how they want to communicate and how they're experiencing the world. And a lot of them experience the world through their tongue. Animals love their tongues. They're always out. Tried to talk to a cow if I had been in the right energy space. Sure, he had lots to say, but she just kept licking the wire of the fence. And I was like, oh, what are you doing? Like, what do you want to say? Like, come on, give it to me. And she would not. And it just was so interesting. But a lot of them do experience it through their tongue. And so if they want to tell me, oh, yeah, like bacon, I always get the taste of bacon. I'm like, okay. But then if they're like, yeah, just I want this. So sometimes they'll say bacon. So most of the time, though, I can taste it. So it really just depends on how they want to give it to me and deliver it to me. And sometimes when I get the taste, I'm like, oh, that's not a very fun taste.
Oh, the taste of pet food in your mouth. How pleasant.
Right. I remember growing up, there was a girl that I knew who used to eat cat food. No. And I was like, that's so gross. But I don't know if you know this, but you know all of those cookies at the pet store, Petco specifically, the dog cookie buffet or whatever, those are actually just sugar-free cookies.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So you could absolutely eat those. A little gross because it is in a store full of germs and lots of pet dandruff. But yes, those are sugar-free diabetic cookies.
Edible for humans. Yes. What about the behavioral issues? Because I feel like people would probably seek out an animal communicator if their pet is being challenging. So maybe like what are some of the causes you've seen for behavioral issues, or what have some of the pets said? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the dog that had the problems with the food and also super anxious, when she was first picked up as a puppy, her parents were like, what did we do? This was the wrong decision. So they gave her to another family for a little bit and then brought her back. Because they just were like, there's so much going on. We can't necessarily do this. And that one was actually a really special one because they also have a human daughter on the other side. And the dog was like, I really like it when Grace comes and plays with me. So when she's twitching and dreaming, Grace is playing with her. She's like, Grace, wait, what? Like, that's my daughter on the other side. Did you know her name? I'm like, I don't think I did. Like, I know. So that was cool. But this pup, like as a young pup, she was like, oh, I thought like I was here for you. Like, this is my family. And then she gets dropped off and she's like, I so confused. And then came back, and then they did it a second time because they're like, wait a second, again, wrong decision. What are we doing? That one did not last as long, but her separation anxiety was because of the fear of abandonment. And so anxiety, crazy. Cats peeing in the house, that is a common one. And it's because of the scent of the litter, or they don't like the type of litter. If it's clay and they don't like the clumping, if they're prima donnas and they love cleanliness, like they are not down for dirty litter boxes. I did a session where, again, the cat was peeing out of the litter box. He wanted his own litter box, even though there's like 4 other ones, wanted his own space. And of course, he's not peeing in the house anymore. And he did request more toys and more catnip. So it really just depends on kind of like what their history is and if they're open to sharing it with me. I've had the ones that yelp and cry, and it's not necessarily they're doing it for them. They're bringing awareness to something you are suppressing, and they are just trying to speak it out to help you uncover what you need to uncover. And so their behavioral problems are a lot of like a reflection of what's going on inside of us as a human. And so most of the time, go in and shift your behavioral problem, or shift your behavior and your behavioral problems. If you're stressed, if you're anxious, like your dog is reflecting that. And so that's great. I've had dogs, they're like, why does he jump? I'm like, well, they want acknowledgement. They have to be acknowledged right as somebody walks in the door, and that will help them stop jumping and they'll stop barking as much. So it really just depends on like what the actual behavioral problem is. Cause I mean, we all know a dog that jumps when you walk in the door.
Oh, yeah.
And it's because they have to have the acknowledgement. Now,
for
there's
sure.
also a problem with that at times because that can create separation anxiety.
Oh,
so
yes.
It's like, it's this whole like gamble, but it's like, if you're home and they're jumping, it's because they have to be acknowledged. I've had dogs that talk about their love languages. The top 2 love languages that most animals have, the first one is physical touch. And they will lay out, like my Daisy, she'll lay right on my face. I'm like, okay, so you want the touch. Leo is words of affirmation. And so that's the other common one. So physical touch and words of affirmation. Now, I've never had a dog say, oh, gifts. Now,
I was going to say that.
I'm waiting for gifts. Now, sometimes, I mean, bless my Frenchie's hearts, they're very high maintenance. They're prima donnas of the dog world. I do know that when I'm like cleaning up, because Daisy's a retaliator pottier in the house, if I'm clean, she'll sit there and she'll watch me clean it up, and she kind of looks at me. So like acts of service is her second love language. She's like, haha, you have to clean up after me. That is a service to me. I'm like, okay, you are not. So love languages apply to your animals as well.
Oh my God, I love it. My boyfriend's parents have a dog who I just have been thinking about throughout this whole interview. And this dog is just hilarious and loves attention, like is obsessed with attention. So if you try to hug anyone in the household, the dog will insert himself and will hug you in a group hug.
Jealousy is a big one.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. I love it. So interesting.
Have to be the center of attention. Like, nope.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. What? This episode has brought us so much joy, Tyler. I can't even tell you. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that's been big in your work? Any other stories or anything else that comes to mind?
Oh man, there's so many things. Actually, yes, I'll share this one. So I had a dog. I did a session with 2 dogs, Chester and Amelia. And Amelia destroyed a teddy bear. Or no, Chester destroyed a teddy bear, and Amelia was really sad about it. Amelia also ran away in December and around Christmas. And it's because she feels like she doesn't get the attention. She was gone for like 7 days. And so her mom did talk to a pet psychic, 2 of them actually. And there's a lot of people out there that are scammers, and it feels very generic. Yeah. And so it is really sad to have that reputation out there while others of us are out there. And it's like, well, okay, here. But so she did talk to one, and like, she was able to describe. They did find her, thankfully. So I did a session with her, and I was like, she was in this red barn, and there was black on it, and there was hay. And she goes, we think, I mean, there's a red barn across down the street, but there's also the airport hangar that's red and black. And she thought the airplane was a tractor, because she did describe like where she was to stay warm and to be safe. So she was in the airport hangar. And even more weird, like this town slash city is very small. And my growing up, I actually went down there a lot because my mom lived down in there. And I was like, okay, this is full circle. So it was this little airport hangar that she was hanging out in, keeping herself safe and warm.
Oh my gosh, that's wild. And your owner found her. That's insane.
Yeah, I was like, oh, thanks for like sharing, because her mom was concerned about like where she was, because they had found her already by the time I got in there, but she described the experience. And the funny thing is I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm a little nervous to see if I could help somebody find an animal.
Yeah.
And it's because it's like, I can't give you the specifics. If I would be a millionaire if I gave you the exact specifics. Now I can explain like what they're seeing and like how they're describing it, but I can't tell you the exact address. And it's just like, I can't predict the future, because if I could predict the future, I'd also be a millionaire.
Yeah.
So there's like certain information. So that is one thing that it's like when you do go into these sessions, it's the information is channeled as of right now. It's not the future. If I was a future teller, I would be out there winning the lottery every single time. And so, maybe one day that'll happen, but the odds are no. And so finding an animal, I can help you describe, or I can help describe of what they are seeing. And you also have to remember it's not going to be like the exact, because it's how they interpret the world, and I share the information with you.
I think that's so important to hear, because I mean, I could just imagine, like, I see posts in the local Facebook groups here where I live in Philly for people missing animals all the time. And like, if you were to tune into someone's missing pet in a city, like, how could you possibly pinpoint exactly where they are? As an example. Yeah.
That would be so freaking cool to be able to like nail it exactly down and be like, oh, here's the address. I'd love to do that. And maybe that'll come in the future. Yeah. I don't know.
We don't know. We're open to the possibility. We love it.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I do think you bring up such an important point, which is you're communicating with them in this present moment. And they're just like you would communicate, with a friend that's sitting right next to you. It's what the friend feels and is thinking and needs in that moment, but it's not a reflection necessarily of like what the friend is going to need 6 months from now.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be so cool to be able to do. But again, the information it's as of right now.
Yeah. And just to be really clear with the listener, Tyler's able to tune into your animal wherever you live, because your sessions are virtual. So you don't have to have the pet in the space physically with you, right? To talk to them.
Correct. So I do most of my sessions on Zoom. Now I would love to do in-person sessions, because I mean, I love to travel. So why the hell not, right? But I do them over Zoom, and the animal does not have to be in the actual room with you. I just have to have a recent picture. Now, if you have a pet that's on the other side, you may not have a super recent picture. However, the most recent picture you have of the pet that's on the other side, that works perfect, because then I'm able to tune in energetically, be like, okay, cool, here you go. And here's all the information. And so having that session, I do them with people on Zoom, because it's fun to like have your real-time reactions and feedback as I do it, because then it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that. When you said about your 4 fish, Matthew, Mark, Jacob, and
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
There we go. Yep.
My listener, I had fish when I was a child who were named after the Gospels in the Bible. I kid you not. Anyway, yes. Go ahead, Tyler.
That I love, but that's why it's like, I like to do it on Zoom, because then I'm getting that real-time feedback, and the animal can be in the room with you. I just don't have to see them on camera the entire time. So it's just really cool to be able to tune in all over the world. And the one question that I know you're going to get from this that I want to answer, yes, it comes in English.
Oh, that's such a great question.
Yes, your animal communicates to me in English because that is my primary language. So I hear it in my primary language.
Even if your pet was born in a different country.
Yes.
Like I like, for example, I feel like there are a lot of rescue animals who come from Mexico who, you know, maybe Spanish. Like, so what are your thoughts on that?
Yep. So because my primary language is English, I hear and translate everything in English. Now, if I was to know multiple languages, I'm sure I could hear it in those different languages. And I did do an Instagram video actually, and it's like your pet may not speak Spanish, French, or what was the other language? There was another one. And it's like, but it is like, oh, your pet may not speak in English, French, or Spanish to you, but I help you translate it because, again, it comes through to me as English. And great, if it comes from Mexico, I would love to be able to hear like, oh, what do you have to say in in Spanish? But I wouldn't be able to translate it. So why would the information come that way?
Right. Totally. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Anything else that people commonly ask you that we didn't get to?
You know, I don't think so at the moment. And if people do have questions, they're always willing to DM me and ask the questions anyways.
I love that. And so can you share with us where people can find you and how people can work with you right now?
Absolutely. So I'm on Instagram at Tyler_Gines, Gines. And you'll know it's me because it has Boujie Animal Chats next to it because your pet is a luxury. Your connection should be too. And so on Instagram, and then to work with me, you can DM me animal if ManyChat works. Sometimes we have technical difficulties, but I do keep an eye on my messages. And then also you can just find me on TikTok, Tyler_Gines as well. I'm not as active on there. I was for a moment. And social media is like a whole nother job.
Yes, it is.
And there is a link in my bio as well to book a session.
Perfect. Awesome. 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 And we have to wrap up the session today, Tyler, by talking about being a mystic. So, what does being a mystic mean to you?
Magical. Being able to be your magical self and stand out and be willing to be yourself unapologetically. Being able to be that mystical, out of this world, crazy, fun, intuitive, being that gifted self and allowing yourself to be seen.
Yes. Yes. Do you have any final tips for living a mystical life?
Don't be afraid to be yourself.
So true.
Just show up, be yourself. Of course, there's going to be naysayers, but really the only naysayer out there is yourself. So don't be afraid to be yourself. Show up, shine, and just be yourself. And if it feels like you're coming out of the closet, you are. And just give yourself grace because I promise it is way better once you're like, oh, hey, by the way, I'm a mystic. Join my journey, because I will tell you that was really uncomfortable at first for me. I was like, oh no, like I've already come out of the closet as gay. Okay, so now I'm coming out as a mystical animal communicator that is out there to people. And I live in Utah. The prominent religion is LDS or Mormon.
Yes.
That it's literally a whole different ballgame. So don't be afraid to be yourself and get out there.
If Tyler and Emily can do it, you can do it too.
Yes. Amen to that one.
I love this so much. This has been so healing for my inner child. So thank you, Tyler. This has been such a joy. We've loved having you on the show. And yes, go find Tyler, go follow him, and book a session.
Yes. Thank you, Emily. Thanks, everyone, for listening.